Welcome to Easy Style with Sami. I'm your host, Sami Bedell-Mulhern. Each episode, I invite a friend, family member, colleague, or just someone I've met on this journey called life to come and share their personal style and approach to business, parenting, life, and everything in between. You'll hear motivational and inspirational stories that will help you refine and build your own personal style. Remember, style is easy when it comes from within. Hey friends, today I am so excited to have London, Brazil here on the podcast. London, thank you for joining me.
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me.
So we've never actually met. I am just a fan of your food blog, and we make the steak fajitas like on the regular, and introduced me to you, and I just said, hey, would you come and talk food with me on the podcast? And you said yes, so thank you so much for being here.
Oh, of course. Oh, I love hearing whenever people are making recipes.
No, we love your blog. But I want to say that there's a theme that has been coming across on this podcast of people that have kind of shifted gears and pivoted and made change in their life. We started out with, I think, like episode 1 was Sarah Cook. She was a naturopathic doctor, went to med school, and then decided to be a copywriter. We've had people like Jane Lockhart who have completely shifted their business when they were diagnosed with PCOS and endometriosis to coach instead of doing design and development. They've coached now on how to live your best life with those diagnoses. We've had Becky Launder, who talked about having a really successful direct sales business and then shifting into coaching and helping other people grow their direct sales business. So I love that thread that we've been going on, and it's continuing with you, London. So I would love, because I'm sure people don't know a lot about you, because you have a similar thread, a similar story, kind of tell us a little bit about London and kind of how you've gotten to where you are today.
For sure. Yeah. So my blog, Evolving Table, it started back in 2014. And actually, it wasn't called Evolving Table at all. It was called Gluten Free with LB. And it started at the very end. I was in dental school my 4th year. We had about like a 2 or 3 month break between when we finished up our requirements for senior year and when we were supposed to take our licensing exam. Those 2 to 3 months are the most stressful time in your life because you're just sitting around waiting to take this exam that pretty much predicts if you get your dental license or not. And in the process, I love to cook. I've loved to cook since I was 7 years old. My mom showed me this cardboard recipe book that I had made with scrambled eggs drawn on it and everything. And I had just recently discovered that I was having a lot of stomach issues and had kind of nailed down that maybe gluten was causing some issues for me. So I was like, well, I love to cook. And I found this thing called a food blog. And I was like, well, I want to be sharing my gluten-free recipes because there's a stigma that everyone who eats gluten-free, it's this terrible food. So I started on a whim, just started this blog, not thinking anyone would see it except for my friends and family. And then I keep doing it because I'm a type 3 on the Enneagram. So I'm very much when there's a schedule and there's a routine, I just do it. And so I kept up and consistently started posting to the blog, all while doing a licensing exam, going off, pursuing dentistry. And then I found this food blog called Pinch of Yum, which in the food blogging world is this very well-known blog where they started posting their income reports. And I saw very soon that there were food bloggers making money that was comparable to what I could make as a dentist. And it was at that moment I thought, well, I would much rather be taking photos and playing with food all day than drilling on people's teeth. And from there, I think I just put it in the back of my brain, did dentistry. I was fortunate enough that I did it part-time. I actually had a lot of migraines. I got tons of migraines when I was doing dentistry. And it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth about it because every time I'd go to work, I'd be in pain when I went home. So I was kind of hoping to transition into the blog full time. And eventually, maybe I cut to the punchline, but eventually I was able to.
I love that though, because I feel like when we go into certain areas of our life, we invest so much time, money, effort, a combination of all of those things. Mm-hmm. It's like you don't think, well, I could leave this behind. You think, well, I've done all this. People have
Right.
supported me in this. This has not just been a thing about me. It's been
Mm-hmm.
I don't know your whole story, but I can't just leave this thing behind. I'm supposed to keep going on this trajectory. So what was that like for you emotionally in like, okay, you know what? I financially aside, if I can make money, that's great. But just the emotional side of like letting something that big go.
Oh my gosh, that was the hardest part because if it were up to me, I probably would have done it
Mm.
a lot sooner. But what was interesting is that, so long story, my dad passed away when I was 20. So my mom did a wonderful job encouraging me to keep pursuing my path of dentistry. And I did. I think she really wanted me to
Yeah.
have a very
Yes.
stable career. So, as
Yep.
many parents do, and I did it. I pursued the path, was miserable. I'd call her every day, almost crying, driving into work. And years go on of me doing this. And I remember one day I was coming home from the office at a Hobby Lobby because I love Christmas. I think it was August, and I was in the Christmas section at Hobby Lobby because it made me happy. And and I'm crying, and I'm just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I really want to do my blog full time because it was starting to kind of pick up and get traction. And I don't do well with like
Mm-hmm.
divided attention. And I'll never forget that day my mom was like, "Oh, honey, all I've ever wanted is for you to be
Oh.
happy." And it was like her
Mm-hmm.
releasing me to like be able, even though I didn't need her permission, I needed her blessing. And I think that just allowed me and gave me more strength to pursue it. And ever since then, I mean, obviously the whole time she's so supportive. And yeah, and everyone else around me was too. Even the amazing dentist I worked for, they all saw like the passion that I had, and everyone was just kind of like cheering me on
Yeah.
as I like
Do you think
went
it's kind
through
of one of
this.
those things where it's
So
like we hold our dreams in our brain, we hold it in our mind, and we're like, okay, well, this is crazy. We could never do this. This isn't something that I should. But then when you start to put out there, you realize that you have more support than you ever thought. And had you maybe not vocalized some of those things, you might not have felt as comfortable, like, oh my gosh, people don't think I'm crazy. I can do this. And I not only can I do this, but I have people that
yeah,
are like okay with me doing this.
absolutely. And I think too, our brains are so wild at making up stories about what we think everyone else is thinking about us. But nine times, or probably 99 times out of 100, everyone is thinking that one positive thing about you. They're not thinking all those thousands of other negative things that are going
Yeah,
on in
I
your
love that.
brain.
Okay, so you transition from dentistry, your food blogging 100% of the time. I am curious, like, if that's not like that wasn't your background, that was your training. Like, how did you kind of navigate the tech side of that, the know-it-all on how to make a successful food blog, let alone like how do you kind of find your? I know you started out gluten free, but kind of walk me through mentally how you kind of navigated these are things that I wasn't trained in. I don't know how to do these things, but I'm going to learn how to do them and be successful at it.
Mm-hmm. I'll say one thing, ignorance is bliss. You don't know how
Yeah.
much you don't know until you get into something. But I will say the one thing I love about the food blogging community is how like open everyone is about helping each other with any and everything. And I think some of my pivotal moments happened when I
Mm.
went to conferences and met fellow bloggers, and we would share things that are working with each other and share things that aren't working. In the beginning, it was a lot. I mean, luckily we had some platforms where it was a little easier to post online, but yeah, I think I tried to do my web design the first time, but it took me days trying. It was horrible. But I don't know. I think especially now there's so many
Hmm.
resources online. And if you just tell yourself like you can figure it out, like you can figure it out. You can find someone that has the answer. You can YouTube it or Google it. Like there's so much out there. I will say, as far as the cooking part, for some reason, the tech stuff
Mm.
didn't bother me, but feeling like an imposter in the cooking world has been an ongoing thing that I continually try to overcome. And I started being gluten free, but over the years, as I got to know my body more, started to know like, because it was mainly GI issues, I started to see that it was more than just gluten, that was causing me issues. That it was eating too much sugar, having too much coffee, maybe dairy one day bothered me. And so I felt this real like pull because my website was called Gluten Free with LB. And it was in 2017 that I decided to rebrand, which was kind of
Big deal.
like in the website world, it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot almost because like you're losing link equity and all of that. But it was the best decision I could have made because in my heart, what it meant is that you're continually evolving and like whether it's the way that you're eating, the number of people that are at your table, like the style of food you like to cook. So it really opened me up to a broad new world of.
No, I love that. And we're not gluten-free in our household, and we found your recipes. I mean, we found you on Pinterest. That's where everybody finds their recipes, right? So you're a smart cookie there. Right. But I think what I love about what you create is it's just easy, it's simple, and it's good. So kind of how do you kind of interject? Like, how do you choose what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, like what recipes you're going to publish? Because here's the thing is the food blogging space it's a churn of like you have to be churning content on a regular basis, and that's a lot. So how do you kind of come up with your food style? Like, how did you kind of say, yes, we're rebranding, we're going to be Evolving Table, we're not just going to be gluten-free, but we still want to live in this space of we want to create this environment of healthy eating and communal tables and family and, like, how did you kind of develop what your whole vision and brand is?
Well, wonderful question, Sami, because honestly, this summer was a lot about figuring that out. Because I felt like after I switched from gluten-free, I was floundering a bit. I was kind of like generically healthy, trying to cater to all these different diets. And this summer, a dream of mine has always been, like, from that cardboard, like, cookbook thing I made, was to create a physical cookbook. And and in that, you have to have a theme, though, for your cookbook. And I heard one time somebody say, if you were a cookbook on a shelf, like your food blog was, what would you want your cookbook to be? And both like food blog and your physical cookbook. And in my heart, I just knew for me, it was weeknight dinner recipes. And the last like 7 years or so, you've seen everything, dinners and breakfast and this and that. But I finally kind of started honing in on this focus because to me, I eat the same breakfast every day. I kind of eat leftovers for lunch. Nothing's very exciting there. But I love coming home, unwinding after a long day, and cooking a meal with whole food ingredients, not catered to a specific diet or macro friendly or anything like that, but just something that everyone's going to love, made with mostly vegetables and protein.
I love that. Well, I think that's good because I think there's what you mentioned, the food blogging community is collaborative, but there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of food blogs. And so the way that you step outside of that is like, here is what I do. And so I think that's beautiful. And that's what we talk about a lot on this podcast. Like, what is your unique style and how do you bring that to the table? Because that's how people are going to connect and grow with you. And so have you seen a difference in your ease in the business and also like your audience as you kind of really made that decision?
I'd say it's still unraveling right now. Like, I'm slowly updating the website and the verbiage, and people are seeing more content come out. But I am already seeing, I feel like in my own heart, like a positive shift because I'm not torn in so many directions about there. You think you would run out of recipe ideas, but it's actually
right. You get more creative when you're specific, right?
Right. And then I feel like I'm really solving a problem, like the weeknight dinner dilemma. Like, here's a recipe. Another thing in the cookbook I focus on is these are the one or two things. If you do these, it'll really make this dish a winner. So it kind of takes the guesswork for my readers and my audience kind of out of it. So it makes weeknights a little bit more enjoyable.
I love that. That's a constant struggle in our house. What's for dinner? I don't care. This is why I love people like you, because I love to cook. I hate to figure out what I'm cooking. And so your blog is super helpful in like, okay, I'm going to go through some ideas and like see what's going on. And so kind of talk to us a little bit about your cookbook, because I know this is new, this is just coming out. But if people want to kind of connect with you a little bit more and get, because I do love, I mean, I'm a paper planner person. I love a tangible thing that I can flip through. Yeah, like,
yeah. Like, right. Still
so
right.
tell us a little bit about your cookbook.
Yes. So the title is Weeknight Winners. And it kind of came because I felt like anybody who would leave comments, every now and then I'd be like, this was a real winner. And I don't know. It just kind of, I like alliteration.
I'm the same. Yes. I love it.
Yeah. But it started off because I was like, well, I'm going to do a dinner recipes cookbook from all the popular dinner recipes from the site. But as I started going through them, kind of recreating them, revamping them, I noticed a thing, like I just said, to make it a winner, there were one or two things. Whether you buy fresh cabbage and thinly shred it for the slaw, you'll get a better texture and flavor. Or you make sure the squash is perfectly caramelized and you'll get a sweeter flavor in the dish. And I think it really helps. I think my hope is that it's going to help people learn a little something about cooking and techniques. One other thing that I love about this book that I have not seen, and I'm sure it's somewhere, I just haven't seen it yet, is that since it is a weeknight dinner cookbook, one of the things that always frustrated me, I would love a cookbook, but there might be a main dish on one page, a side dish on another, and then I'm flipping back and forth, getting all messy and forgetting where I am. This one has everything conveniently located on one or two pages. So it's like lays flat and you can see everything that you need, all your ingredients laid out for you.
I love that. No, that's so good. Okay, so I want to ask you, so you went to dentist school, you were a dentist, you moved into your food blog, which was scary. Now you're doing this cookbook. Like, how do you feel like you approach those, or like what advice maybe would you give to people that are like, okay, we want to transition to this thing, or we want to take that step into that scary thing that we didn't think we could do? Because I bet when you started your food blog, you never thought you'd write and publish a cookbook, right? Or have an audience that would buy it. So kind of how do you work yourself through those things and say, I know you mentioned earlier the support of your community and your family and your friends, but internally, like how do you kind of push yourself into those next big things?
I don't know, because the cookbook, I mean, I have journal entries where I was talking about wanting to do a cookbook for the blog since like 2018 or something. I mean, it took me 6 years. So it's not like it just, because I don't want to have like your listeners think it's just easy, like that you should be able to just like go do it. But at some point, you kind of just have to go do it and like push yourself past that and just start. Because I feel like if I had known in hindsight all the questions, all the things I didn't know about making a cookbook, I don't know that I would have jumped into it as easily, because there was a lot that I had to learn along the way. But you will learn along the way. And I do think one thing that helped me with the cookbook particularly was setting a very aggressive timeline. It was May of this year, and I said it needs to be out before the holidays. And for self-publishing, and I retested, refilmed, rephotographed everything in the book and had it sent to the printers within 4 months. So it was insane, but it's almost like you got to capitalize on that momentum.
Well, I think what you're saying is you had really, the time into putting the cookbook together was like really revalidating for you over and over and over again that this was something that was important to you and that mattered to you. For sure. And so that makes it easier to kind of push yourself to that leap versus maybe shiny object syndrome where you're like, well, I could do this and I could do that and I could, go do that. And then it doesn't work as well because it's not something that you actually truly internally care about.
Right. And something I will say to that, because I do think a lot of people, like I feel like I'm fairly fortunate because I kind of stumbled into food blogging, and it is my perfect alignment of, I love photography. I love cooking. I love like everything about it is perfect for me. But I do feel like not everyone knows what that thing is, but you need to kind of for a little bit dabble, and that's okay to dabble in things. And then, but then you do probably have to commit at some point if you want to turn something into something big.
No, I love that. That's great. Okay, so London, the other question I want to ask you is if people are like, okay, well, that's great. She started in like 2000, I can't, do you say 2018? 14. Oh, even worse.
2014, yeah.
Even better.
I
Worse.
thought I was, I thought I was an old
worse for my
blogger.
question. But if they're like, oh yeah, 2014, like that's when blogging was started.
Yeah.
Like I have a passion. It might
For
not be
sure.
food, it might be travel, it might be fashion, it might be whatever. But to start a blog
Mhm.
right now, like there's no way, like I would never be able to do it. What would you maybe say to those people?
Well, I would say, I mean, the landscape is ever evolving. A blog per se, I don't know. I still, the industry is up and down, it fluctuates. But I would say that there is always space for your unique perspective, your unique point of view. And there's never too many people out there. I feel like the world is abundant and open, and there's always room and people that need you and your voice and how, like, your spin on things. So, I mean, even if you have to, sometimes I have to put my blinders on and stop checking Instagram so much or stop looking at things that are getting me down or making me feel insecure so that I can go and do my
No, because we talked about this
work.
briefly before. I love that's like the most perfect answer, but we talked about this briefly before we started, in that the imposter syndrome is real and comparison is crazy. And so how do you kind of just run your own race and say, this is where I'm going and this is what I'm doing, and I don't need to worry about what everybody else is doing?
Honestly, sometimes it's hard, but some of my best friends, depending on the day, will like cause me to feel bad about myself. And I love my friends and I support them fully. But when you're seeing, I think Instagram is a really tough space because you see the numbers right in front of your face. And if that's causing you to feel icky and that's causing you to not like go and do your creative work of the day, maybe like get off of there or stop following them, or like just mute them for a little bit. It doesn't mean you don't like them. It doesn't mean you don't support them. But I've started doing that with a couple of people lately. And like, if anything, it's the people that I admire the most. It's the ones that I want to be like that tend to cause me the most angst when I see it. So I don't think it's like a bad thing, but it protects your own like self-image and self-talk.
I agree. And I think for me, like, in my marketing side of my business, I went through a whole transition a few years ago because I was like, well, I'm seeing all these people that are launching similar programs and courses and coaching as me, but they're making like $10 million in their launches and I'm not. And then, I started to feel bad about myself. And then I started looking more into what they're doing. And I'm like, well, whoa, I don't want a team of 10 people. I don't want to be, like when you start to really play into like what it takes them to get to that space. And I was like, I don't want any of that. Like I had to reevaluate my goals and my process and like what I actually want for myself. Cause that gets hard. Like you said on Instagram, it gets hard to like not compare yourself to people and say, well, I could have that, but here's the things that also come along with that.
Right. And I do think whenever you feel that like twinge of like envy, instead of like pushing it down, often what I like to do is like turn towards it and ask myself, why are they making you jealous right now? Like, what is it that they have that you want? Because normally there's something, and for a long time for me, it was like seeing people with a cookbook. And eventually I was like, oh, well, maybe you need to make a cookbook.
And now you have one.
Like, yeah. So I do think it's always kind of a little flag for us to like tap into what it is that our instinct is telling. Because normally we see them and we're like, that could be me. And then you need to step back and say, do I want exactly that? Or do I want some iteration of what I'm
Your
seeing
own style.
that they have?
I love it. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. I did not prep you with this question, but London, do you have like 2 or 3 favorite recipes, or 2 or 3 like if you're coming to Evolving Table for the first time, these are your must tries? Mine is the steak fajitas because they're it's the best marinade we've ever had in our entire lives, and it's so easy and it's delicious. But like, what are some of your like check these out first? These are great, tried and true favorites, even though they're all your babies.
I know. I was like, it's really hard. I feel like depending on the day, it literally changes. I would say hands down the most popular on the website and because it's really easy, it's healthier, like low carb, is an egg roll in a bowl. People love that one. That one's been a site favorite for so long. I'm trying to really, it's
what
like
are you hungry for?
Whatever I'm cooking up that week. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what are you hungry for? Really, all the recipes in the cookbook are like, they're like the top 45 dishes, I'd say.
I love it.
The site.
Okay, well, if you were going to give any advice, London, to people that are dreaming about something that they want for themselves that might be a little bit different than what they had pictured for themselves. It doesn't have to be blogging, but just, a change or a shift. Kind of what last words as we wrap this up would you maybe want to leave people to just go for it?
Well, I would say just kind of what you said, just go for it. But something that works for me, and I know this may not work for everybody, is schedule time. Set aside time. And because if you, like, I'm a big runner, if you just think you're going to just run every day without like blocking a time or thinking forward enough of knowing when you're going to start running or what time or where you need to have your shoes or your clothes out, like, I feel like it sets you up for success, because then, okay, this 1 hour in the morning, I'm going to wake up at 5, from 5 to 6 before the kids wake up or whatever. I'm going to have my time to do my thing. And I think it will ease more angst and allow you to get more in the flow.
That is some great advice. Well, London, this has been a wonderful conversation. I feel like we just met, but I feel like I could talk to you forever. Like, in fact, do you want to come over for dinner, even though we live halfway across the country? Long trip. How do people connect with you, connect with Evolving Table? How do we find you?
Well, I am everywhere on social media at Evolving Table. And then also the website is Evolving Table.
And we will link all of that up in the show notes at easystylewithsami.com/31. But London, thank you so much for being here today. This has truly been a pleasure.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sami.
So this is what I love about this podcast, is that London and I had never met before, and that was an amazingly fun conversation. I hope that you loved it too, and that you will check out her blog, evolvingtable.com. I love to cook, and so I hope that you'll share your favorite recipes from her blog with me that you try, because she has, like, I think 300 plus some recipes on her website. So check out all the resources and information on how you can connect with London at the easystylewithsami.com/31. As always, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. It's so fun telling these stories. If you have somebody that you think would be great as a guest for this podcast, please shoot us a message. Sami at easystylewithsami.com. That's SAMI. And thank you for listening. I really appreciate you taking the time, and make sure you stream this and subscribe. That was a hard word. Subscribe wherever you listen or on YouTube. But thank you so much for listening to the Easy Style with Sami podcast. I love being in here with you. And remember that style is easy when it comes from within. I'll see you in the next one.